สวัสดีค่ะเข้าสู่รายการของ CUTZRADIO ใน Special Episode ในวันนี้นะคะกับ Blacklivesmatter หรือว่า Black Lives Movement ในวันนี้นะคะเป็น EP ที่เราอยากจะให้ทุกคนเนี่ยได้ทำความเข้าใจกับสิ่งที่กำลังเกิดขึ้นที่อเมริกาอยู่ตอนนี้และก็ทั่วโลกด้วยนะคะหลายๆคนอาจจะได้เห็น Hashtag ได้เห็นแรปเปอร์หลายๆคนออกมาโพสต์นะคะอาจจะมีเห็นเป็นภาพสีดำแต่อาจจะสงสัยกันอยู่ว่าเอ๊ะมันเกิดอะไรขึ้นแล้วมันเกี่ยวข้องอะไรกับเราแล้วเราจะทำอะไรได้บ้างนะคะวันนี้อาจจะได้ไขข้อสงสัยกันแล้วฟังจากคนที่เกิดและโตที่อเมริกาด้วยหรือว่าคนที่มีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องตรงนี้โดยตรงนะคะเดี๋ยวเรามาแนะนำแขกรับเชิญของเราในวันนี้มาหลายคนมากจริงๆนะคะเริ่มจากด้านนี้ก่อนเลยดีกว่าคงไม่ต้องอินโทรเยอะนะคะ DJ PANI นะคะแล้วก็จิงก้นต่อมานะคะ Radio 3000 ค่ะและบอสของเรานะคะ DABOYWAY ค่ะตัวแทนคนผิวสีในไทยต้องมีนะคะ Brian Youngbong ค่ะ BIGCALO ค่ะวันนี้นะคะ Tori ค่ะ Tori เนี่ยเป็นคนที่ก่อตั้งนะคะ organization หนึ่งที่ใช้ชื่อว่า EXPATS นะคะคืออะไรนั้นเดี๋ยวยังไงเราจะมาเล่าให้ฟังอีกทีนึงนะคะส่วนข้างๆของ Tori ก็คือ Mike นั่นเองนะคะอีกหนึ่งคนจากประเทศไทยวันนี้อาจจะมีการ switch ไทยอังกฤษบ้างนะคะอย่างไงเดี๋ยวเราจะได้พูดคุยกับทุกคนแล้วก็รู้ด้วยว่าความรู้สึกของทุกคนตอนนี้เป็นยังไงบ้างต้องถามพี่เวก่อนดีกว่าว่าถ้าอธิบายตอนนี้สิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นคืออะไรคะ
So the protest started in America, then all 50 states were protesting, then the whole world is protesting police brutality. It started May 25th. Not that it started, but it's been many occasions that happened before in the Black community. We're treated with violence and unjust.
Yeah. So it's been going on for a long time, for years since the 1619 when the first African slaves came to America, the mistreatment started way back there and just continue on throughout the years, 400 years of repression, So this situation with George Floyd that just occurred is one of millions of incidents that's happened. This has just happened to be a time where everybody's paying attention, watching, and everybody's realizing like, yo,
enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough.
Yeah, sure.
Why does it feel like this time or this incident made it feel like this is really enough? Because actually there's been many incidents that we could all agree on that we feel like this is enough, right?
Yeah.
Why do you guys think this time is so different and made such an impact?
I think social unrest, for sure. We're living in a time where we are more informed than our forefathers, our parents, our grandparents. And so we're more sensitive to the human condition now than I think we've ever been. Just because we had to come together behind something like coronavirus, and all of us had to take a step back and analyze. And so now, for sure, everybody can see. There is visible. It's like front page news. We're all on our phones, and so I think at this point in time, everybody's like, yeah, we should come together. It seems more of a unit because we had to unify behind coronavirus. So,
right. And I mean, we're talking about 8 minutes and 46 seconds of having your knee on someone's neck that is literally calling for their mother. Like, nah, it's more than a conversation is needed. It's like, come on, like 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
It was a fact, the knee on the neck and his demeanor and his face.
He didn't even care.
He didn't even care. That calm, cocky demeanor on his face.
Exactly.
Because when I was watching it, right, at first, I was just angry.
Yeah.
Then I seen the look on his face, I got angrier. And then by the end, I cried.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, he knew there wasn't going to be any consequences.
Exactly.
Right. And
That's the calm demeanor on his face. It's just like, and
right.
That has to change.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah. Pretty much enough is enough. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Enough of anything you get to the point. Like now, change has to happen. So
the frustration has been building over all the years, and like that, sad to say, was the last straw. And with the coronavirus, everybody being at home and not being able to come out and so the frustration was just over the top.
I mean, I'm sure everyone saw the video. Like maybe you just said like how it made you feel. Like how did it make? Like where were you when you saw the video? And what what was your thought and how did it make you feel?
It took me a couple of days to actually watch the video for myself. You know, I seen the picture and I was like, oh no, like this, we doing this again. You know what I mean? Like to me, that was the first thought. Yeah, it's happening again. And then I finally, like after a couple of days, I watched it and I was like, wow, like this dude, he was executed on camera. You know what I mean? The guy did it so calm. You could tell he's killed people before. And the other officers just stood there. They didn't even want to look back at the crime. You know what I mean? But they knew exactly what was going on. George Floyd knew that was going to be his last day. You can hear him screaming, please, man, please. Like,
he calling his mama.
Yeah, he called his mama.
That's the sad thing ever.
Yeah.
I'm crying because of that scene.
Right.
And that's made me angry so much because all desperately, they don't do any shit.
Yeah.
They just act like, he's not gonna die, he's strong.
Right.
But he's not.
He's not.
Yeah.
8 minutes of weight on your neck, like it's crazy. So it brought a lot of pain. It brought a lot of pain, frustration. And then when you hear the other voices around the world speaking up on it, it's just it makes you stand up. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Hold up. Like that's wrong. Like it could have been anybody. You know what I mean? Like seeing that what just happened was just too much. Like
what would some like I don't think anybody in this world deserves that.
No.
Yeah. I mean like what was the crime? Like it was so
Exactly.
to like they're so uncalled for and you know, and it's sad to see that it's still going on.
There was anger, like Carlos said, I was angry initially, and then there was a sense of helplessness because the idea of, the only difference between me and George Floyd in that moment is that I wasn't there, that it was him. And that's how it made me feel. It made me feel like it could have been my day. And so for me, it was just like, I just felt helpless at the time. I felt like there was nothing I could do because I am in Bangkok, you know, and I just felt
it is close to home for you.
Yeah, and it's close to home.
That's how I felt. Man, first thing I read of George Floyd, a Houston native who relocated to Minnesota, I was like, that's literally to be his best self. I'm like, that's my life. Like, I relocated to Thailand because I wanted to be my best self. And like, much love for Thailand because I definitely have become my best self. Like, well, the next version. You know, we got so many versions of ourselves. Like, at this point, I think most Black people and people around the world are feeling like this is not cool. So, like, what can I do? Like, what can I do as a person? We have to, like, let our light shine so we can just be like, nah, like you said, enough is enough.
Like his daughter said, daddy's gonna change the world. You know, and I think that's what he did. And that's the reason why we're all here and we're discussing this and putting it out there because it's bigger than black and white. It's the whole world against racism. You know what I mean? Like if we all stand together and we all stand up against it, it can't survive.
Exactly.
You know? But it needs everybody to talk about it.
To talk about it, to stand
and be aware about it.
And raise awareness. You know, there might be some people that haven't experienced it firsthand or don't know, like, okay, we're all born in America, so except for Brian, so we grew up with people that we call our brothers, our sisters. You know, with me there's no color. You know what I mean? It's just like people we grew up with. I have family members who are Black, who are Puerto Rican, who are Asian, but we all mix, we're all diverse. And growing up I think in the era that we grew up in, it's everybody's unified.
For sure.
How did it make you feel? Because you were born in America as well.
That's crazy. I actually got a lot of messages sent from all my friends saying like this is what happened in the States, and it is shocking and there's anger because like police have been doing this for how long, and like to the point of what is enough, and like it took everyone woke up and realized like we're not taking this no more and we gotta make a change. So everyone's protesting and you know something has to change. You know what I mean? Like they think they just passed some laws right now for like Eric Gardner, like in New York and like Brianna. Some laws just passed. So change is happening, you know what I mean? So it's slowly, but it's you know,
Disband the police force, or they say they
crazy.
are.
Like it's
all the you know the possibilities are can go anywhere at this point. People are just mad. You know what I mean? We want change, and if it's leading to protests, there's peaceful protests, there's angry protests, there's violence, there's looting going on, but people are just mad. That officer ignited a ripple effect across the whole world. His hate, the demon that came in him that forced him to do that, you know what I mean? It caused a splash that affected the whole world. So people are wondering, like, why are people doing this and doing that? They're looting and shooting. Well, this is because of that. Like, he lit the match and the whole thing just erupted. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Right?
It's everybody else too that was involved too. And they say, like, you can't just sit back and not say anything. People have seen all these, like, tragedies happen. But, like, some people just, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to come out. But now is not time for that. I think everybody just needs to speak up and just say how they feel, you know? And you just say how you feel, whether you think it's right or wrong. We have to talk about it. You know, I think that shit is so important.
It's just being human, man. You know what I mean? Like, anybody. Because
we're not. I mean, because you're not, as minorities, you're not asking for any special treatment. You're asking for equal treatment. You're asking for across the board that if I do something and he does something, the punishment is the same. If it's and historically it's not. You can see.
I find it very interesting to hear from Brian just because he's, you know, not American, but he's Thai, but, you know, grew up here. He's half black. Like, how does it make you feel, you know, not having to live maybe through the same things that you see what's going on over there, but seeing that happening like in front of your eyes, like
I see the video or the news about black people got killed or murdered all the time. But I just cannot do any shit because I'm a black person who living in Thailand. I'm not living in America. I'm not someone else in there. I have the power. I have just voice, but I have the power. The things that I can do is just say it, but I don't want it to happen to me, and I don't want it to happen to around my friends in Thailand too, like all the black people that I know. So that's why I started making music and make it harder for make me pop up to stay on front of a rap game because I don't want, like, first of all, let me say you, like, when I was a kid, I got bullied all the time from the white people, from the Asian people. They were bullying at me like, you black like this, you black like that. And at that moment when I was a kid, I feel sad sometimes. I feel like, why? What happened? What happened to me? What happened to me? Why are you bullying to me or something? And I just feel like I don't want this to happen to someone else, to another black people, to my brother. I try to do everything. I build him up for sure. That told to everybody in Asian Thailand that's like, black people is not that bad. They have a skill, they have a talent, they can do anything, they can make you happy in their music, and literally they can speak Thai, that's your rankings. You know, and I show them everything. Now that they have a lot of people in Thailand, they worry about the black people or something because they have a lot of black people who succeed in Thailand. But let's come back and say to the point now. The thing is, I want it to stop. I want to end everything up. I don't want it to keep going big. But the thing is, it's just happened in Thailand. But the world is so fucking big. They have everything. They have a lot of countries. They have so many countries. They have so many people. They not grow up with the same way. And I cannot change their mind because they grow up like bully to black people when they was a kid. And when they grow up, they're gonna be like that for sure. They're not changing in a 10 minutes, and then I cannot change them. Right? You know, the thing that I can do that, I just show them that I'm not bad at that. We're not bad at that. We not have just a bad news that we kill people or rob or looting. We not just have that. We have like bad people who build the whole fucking music like Michael Jackson. We have a bad people who make the blues, the jazz like Jimi Hendrix, who have a skill and share the world. We want to people who being lazy to open about it, not being close to someone else's life, not being selfish to their life, like better than anyone. No one is better. If you die, you stay in the same cave. You live in a big house, but you stay in the same small crib. That's fair, right? You know. No one is better. Everybody is same. I want everybody in the world, in this fucking world, understand. Everybody is same. No one is better. Everyone is better.
Facts.
we get influenced so much by the Black culture, right? Especially the people sitting right here in this, round,
Sure.
being, the representation of hip hop in Thailand. Is that why, in particular, you wanted to do this session?
And hip hop, being influenced, and my life has been inspired and is based off of Black culture for the past 25 years. I've made a career out of hip hop music, as a child looking up to, even like to Michael Jordan, to Michael Jackson, Mike Tyson, everything was Black culture. And I know that sometimes in Thailand, America portrayed Black America a certain way in the 80s, the 90s, in the movies. And, they even portrayed, Asian people back to the outside world, but nobody could speak English. Yeah. So, and coming from there, that's not how it is.
Right.
That's not how it is. Right. That's just the way they painted the picture.
Yeah.
But, so, and that goes with, going back to the conversation Mike had, is now that everybody can see for themselves what the real is. There are peaceful protests. It's not about violence. And it's your judgment. And at the end of the day, if it's wrong, it's wrong.
I feel like hip hop is a unifier. So it was like
it unified the whole world.
It unified the whole world. I mean, people from every race have been influenced by hip hop music around the world. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a lesson too. In hip hop, there's no color lines. If you're nice, then you're nice.
Yeah.
If you make good music, you make good music. So it's I think we can learn a lot from that.
The effect of hip hop through the years has changed a generation. Our thought process is different. As much as America try to portray us as this and that, and the negative aspect, hip hop and entertainment and the different things we've invented through the times is when it crosses over the seas, people they see the good, they don't see the negativity as much. You know what I mean? The police treat me different here in Thailand. You know what I mean? I can get pulled over police here. I don't feel like it's my last day on earth. You know what I mean? I feel like.
Is that how it feels in America?
Yes, for sure. Especially the last time I went back, it was
America.
Yeah, I was just oh man, driving super, get pulled over. I'm putting my hands, make sure you see my hands. I'm keeping my ID somewhere where I won't have to dig far. I'm keeping everything in a small box. It's just a different mentality. Here, police pull me over, I feel okay, I know I'm gonna live. You know what I mean? And that's a big relief.
I think that's an important point to make to our viewers, because even for me, I'm half Thai, half Swiss, I don't understand. I don't have to go through that, right? Yeah. So for people to watch us to understand the pain and the anger that comes from your daily life, what are the things for example, your parents will teach you as a Black kid, how to handle yourselves?
Never leave the house by yourself. Always have somebody with you. If the police stop you, comply. Just, stay away from this area, stay away from that area. It's a lot of
quiet,
things. Yeah.
You're around white people.
Be respectful. Always be aware. My granddad always taught me to be aware that I am Black and I am a Black male in any situation. So in any situation, you try to de-escalate situation. You try not to make it seem like you're a threat. Because naturally you're already perceived as a threat. So it's me being a lion coming in. It's no, I'm not gonna bite you.
Right.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel sometimes. Is that I have to show you that no, I'm not aggressive. I'm not like what you see on TV.
Yeah. Right.
And that's a conscious thing every day in a place where it's supposed to be my home. It's okay for them. It's okay for me to be looked at weird or looked at different in a foreign country. But this is somewhere I call my home. I'm born and bred in Texas, you know what I'm saying? So I've never lived anywhere else. But to feel more love in a foreign country.
To not feel at home.
Yeah. I don't feel at home at home. And it's that thing, and that's I struggle with that a lot too,
I think that as Black people, we're not only taught by our parents with this lack and this fear mindset, but it's also going around the world, and then it's also thrown at you, right? So one time I was going to 7-Eleven here in Thailand with a Black friend that's older from Tennessee. So their mindset is even more of that Black versus white type stuff. And we have all these bags going into 7-Eleven, because you know how that is. And she stops and she's okay, I'm gonna hold all the bags and you go in. I was what are you talking about? And she's I don't want them to think we're stealing. I was like, girl, if you don't get your ass in this damn store, I'm not going to steal. Like, I don't steal because I don't need to steal. And we shouldn't have to think like that, but that is actually the norm, is that we always have to like mute ourselves, or like, yeah, like we gotta like, okay, let me make, like you said, let me make sure I got my hands out of my pockets. Like I don't want to have to think like that. I'm not doing anything, and I'm not going to, like, I don't even like to hurt a damn fly. So it's like, I'm not about to do anything to you, but why can I not just be myself?
It's like, how long does it take? Because I just imagine as a kid, when you're, thought like that, you have to think like that.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it take for you to come into realization, like Mike just said, like, I shouldn't have to like think like that. I shouldn't have to be treated different.
You have to be taken out of the environment.
I think you just grow up in it. You don't.
But you didn't have a realization. My parents, some of the things that was taught in my household was like, stand up for yourself. I wasn't told to be quiet around white people. Like, I grew up on the West Coast, California, so it was a little different than the South. It was more liberal, more, I grew up with Asian, Black. I grew up with every single race. My friends spend the night. We didn't really see color, so it was like, if anybody disrespect you any kind of way, you stand up for yourself. But I didn't really realize that the serious segregation like as much until I moved to the South, and it was more hate between the black and the white. I always knew that it did exist, and then moving overseas, I got to see. I removed myself from the whole equation of the U.S. situation that's going on with black people and Americans, and I realized like, whoa, these people's treatment is totally different here. Like we're getting looked at because it's not that many of us here. I can deal with that, but it's not like. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of look. It's a different kind of feeling. And then I get pulled over. It's not. I don't feel like I'm gonna die. I go to the store. I don't feel like everybody's looking at me like I'm gonna steal something. It's just a lot of things that I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders once I remove myself from the environment. I got to see. And when I go back home, like, oh, instantly you feel the jump back.
Yeah, that's the way.
America was never, ever, ever built for black people to be free. We came there as slaves. We fought to get for freedom. Right. And when situations like this happen, we gotta remember, we gotta continue fighting for our forefathers.
Right.
When I listen to you guys now, I just feel like I'm so fucking scared to go to America. I just want to buy a shirt, but I don't want to go there anymore.
Okay.
When you're in America, you don't feel like that. Yeah, there's just certain things. Like, it's certain things that'll happen. You'll be like, you may not readily recognize it because you're not from it. But we tend to pick up on things because you've had those experiences. If you've never had those experiences, you go to America and have a great time. It's just systematic shit.
They would love you. They would definitely love you, honey. What's good?
Childhood was crazy. Because my childhood was crazy. It was good. It was dope. Like, I didn't grow up. I mean, you grew up in a certain amount of fear, but it wasn't fear because everybody in my neighborhood looked like me. Like, my high school, it was maybe 2 white kids, like 100 Asian kids, and the rest was just black. It's like 2,000 of us or whatever. So you don't feel that until you go to a different community, until you go to the other side of town. Because like in the South, everything is segregated. It is minorities on this side, whites go to this school, your schools are separate and that type of thing. So yeah, you don't feel the weight of racism until you go into a different community.
Different parts of America have different, like the East Coast is more diverse and everybody, it's like mixed in. So whereas down south,
that's it gets thick. It gets real thick.
We've been seeing like a lot of like posters circulating, especially like from you guys on social media with like Asians for Black Lives. Like, why is that important? Like, why do we Asians need to speak up, and how can we help?
Yeah, I consider brothers and sisters in there, and they need help. They need somebody. They need everybody to stand up for what's right. And more power in numbers, and they're just there to voice and say, yo, enough is enough as well. And
it's not just Asians, everybody got to stand up, you know what I mean? Like, but we just showing the support and love for the movement, you know what I mean? Like I said,
so raising awareness in Asia,
exactly,
because sometimes people might not understand what's really going on because of the language barrier, or so when to use our platforms to just raise awareness and shed light and speak up if you feel something is.
We can sit and we can disagree on sports, whatever, but there should be no disagreement for violence or not liking somebody because of the color of their skin. That's just ignorant. You know, we should all be able to agree on that.
For the people that are watching and might feel like, okay, now I understand a little bit more about like how and they want to help. Like sometimes it feels helpless too because you don't know how to help. Like you know, like what are examples of those things that we all can do?
Knowledge is power, right? Like knowing what's going on in the world, knowing, you know, looking, especially for the people that, you know, this is a hip hop platform. Like a lot of the audience like hip hop, they like music, they like jazz, they like R&B. Like dig into the culture, you know what I mean? Not just the sound, but dig who are the people behind these records? What kind of lives do they live? You know what I mean? These are black artists. They provide the soundtracks of our lives. Let's dig into their culture. What did they do? You know, is there people that do more than just rap? Like research, Google. There's tons of information online about the history of black culture. And then it's funny because the further you dig into it, you'll realize that our stories kind of all connect in one way or another. You know what I mean? We all come from the same place at the end of the day. Like when we talk about the nucleus of it all, we all come from one. And we've been divided through the times, through the ages. Knowledge is power, it's research, information. We won't turn our heads when we hear something that happens to any culture or any race. Like we stand up for people, for humans, you know what I mean? If there's if I seen a Thai person being killed on TV and it hit the net and I heard about it and I got to see it, I'm gonna feel the same type of pain. I'm gonna feel the same type of anger because it's relatable. Like, damn, we go through that same thing.
That's what I've been trying to educate myself as much as possible. Because like honestly, growing up, like I'm Puerto Rican, my mom is Puerto Rican, and my dad is white, right? In school, they don't teach you much. They teach you about Martin Luther King is good.
Yeah.
Malcolm X was violent.
Yeah.
You know, Abraham Lincoln stopped slavery, and then boom.
That's it.
It stops there. It stops there. So like, if you don't educate, most of my life I know racism exists, but I wasn't really aware about how systematic it was.
Very systematic.
And everything like that. So this time I've been using the time to watch documentaries, to educate about redlining and you know and stuff like that, the 13th Amendment. And
we coming from America, and we're going to different cultures, we're going to different countries. The first thing we do is study the culture. How can we understand this culture? Like we don't want to come in bully footing and bombarding our way in. Let's figure out what are these people, how do these people move? How can we relate to it? Let's figure that out. You know, how do you adapt to it? And once you adapt, then you find your lane and then you move and progress. Like we're working with, you know, Bangkok and Bakers and DABOYWAY for over 3 years now. You know what I mean? Learning the system, learning how things go here. Learning the knowledge, the culture, learn how to intermingle and the whole nine, you'll realize like, wow, these people.
Once you learn the culture and once you're a bit more knowledgeable, then you need to spread awareness. Everybody is contributing in their own way. I don't want anybody to feel like what you're doing is not enough, like your posts are enough, your well wishes are enough, but just continue to spread awareness. And I know a lot of us have friends who aren't saying anything. I know you have some friends who aren't saying anything. They're still seeing the posts and they're educating themselves so they get to the point where they can say, well, I can knowledgeably say this is my standpoint on this. And I think
anything that we can follow or you know get more like insights because you mentioned something before.
Yeah, you can follow EXPATS on Instagram. We share a lot of information and resources there and our website EXPATS.com as well.
Are there music that you guys can recommend that speaks or talks about this type of? I know there's a lot, but like is there a few?
NWA. And the police, like straight up.
YouTube has tons of information, you know what I mean? Like you can pull up the history of African Americans in America, just Google that, you know, you'll get tons of information, like thousands of pages and videos just explaining it, you know. There's so much information out there. And I think it's a human thing just to know like your fellow people that's around you. Why is it important? Because it's human.
แต่ผมก็เดี๋ยวผมก็จะมาพูดอธิบายให้ฟังนะครับแบบเรื่องที่มันเกิดขึ้นแบบที่อเมริกาหรืออาจจะเป็นทั่วโลกแต่เราไม่รู้ข่าวไม่รู้อะไรเลยเป็นเรื่องมันเหมือนแบบเรื่องที่เราแบ่งชนชั้นในที่มันเกิดขึ้นในประเทศไทยที่บอกว่าเรารัฐบาลกับกลุ่มวัยรุ่นที่เลือกหาเสรีแต่นี่ก็เป็นแบบรูปแบบคล้ายๆกันครับที่เป็นระหว่างคนดำกับรัฐบาลที่เขาเรียกร้องความเสรีภาพของเขาอยากอยู่เป็นเหมือนมนุษย์ปกติทั่วไปแต่ว่าทุกวันนี้ก็อาจมีการกดขี่ด้วยการรูปลักษณ์บ้างเหมือนที่ประเทศไทยมองที่รูปลักษณ์จากรอยสักหรืออะไรแล้วก็เกลียดกันทำให้เขาไม่มีงานตอนนี้ที่อเมริกาก็มีแบบคนดำที่ต้องถูกมองที่รูปลักษณ์หางานไม่ได้เพราะถูกมองว่าเป็นโจรเป็นอะไรถูกตำรวจจับตลอดเวลาแม้แค่เดินทางข้างถนนไม่มีตังค์เป็นโฮมเลสก็โดนเช็คหรืออะไรมันเป็นอะไรที่มันลำบากมากแล้วถ้าผมโทรแบ็คไปหน่อยก็คือย้อนเวลากลับไปหน่อยเมื่อวานแบบ100 ปีแล้วหรือในยุคที่คนดำก็เป็นทาสเหมือนที่ประเทศไทยเคยมีทาสมันได้จบไปแล้ว เขาได้ยกเลิกทาสแล้วแต่ข้อกฎหมายที่มันมากับข้อกฎหมายนั่นก็คือตอนเขายกเลิกทาสไปกับคนดำไม่ได้เป็นทาสในสังคมก็จริงแต่ว่าสุดท้ายถ้าคุณเดินไปข้างนอกหรืออะไรคุณมีกฎเกณฑ์ที่เขาตั้งมาให้คุณทุกวันนี้คนดำไม่ต้องอยู่แบบในกฎเกณฑ์เขาไม่ได้เป็นอิสรภาพแบบที่คุณเห็นเหมือนในเพลงที่เขาทำออกมาทุกครั้งที่เขามีแต่จุดที่รุนแรงหรือมีคำพูดที่แบบกูโตมาอย่างนั้นเขาเล่าถึงความจริงว่าเขาโตมาอย่างนั้นจริงๆถ้าเราเข้าถึงเพลงฮิปฮอปจริงเราเข้าใจว่าชีวิตคนดำเนี่ยมันเป็นอะไรที่น่าบาน่าสงสารนะครับมันไม่ได้เป็นอะไรที่สบายที่เขาแบบอยากโชว์รวยกันเพราะเขารู้สึกว่าเขาเหนื่อยกับชีวิตที่เขาทำมาทั้งหมดแล้ววันหนึ่งที่เขาประสบความสำเร็จเขาต้องอยากช่วยเหลือคนดำด้วยกันหรือทำให้ทุกอย่างมันเปลี่ยนโลกของเขาเปลี่ยนความสุขเขาเปลี่ยนบ้านของเขาให้มันดูดีขึ้นอะไรเงี้ยวันนี้ผมก็อยากอธิบายให้ทุกคนไทยที่อยู่ที่บ้านที่ยังรู้สึกว่าบูลลี่กับคนดำอยู่หรือว่ารู้สึกเกลียดคนดำหรือว่าแบ่งแยกอยู่อยากให้ผู้คนตัดความคิดนั้นออกเพราะว่ามันเป็นเรื่องที่ไม่ดีเลยมันเป็นเรื่องที่ควรจะสอนให้ลูกหลานในอนาคตของคุณ
สอนลูกหลานให้ทุกคนว่าทุกคนเท่าเทียม
ใช่คุณควรจะสอนให้ทุกคนเท่าเทียมกันคุณไม่ควรสอนให้ทุกคนแบบแบ่งแยกกันเพราะไม่มีอะไรแบ่งแยกเราอยู่บนพื้นดินเดียวกันพื้นดินที่มันมีต้นไม้ออกมามีพื้นหญ้าออกมารดน้ำแล้วมีเมล็ดข้าวมีอะไรออกมาแล้วเหยียบอยู่บนพื้นโลกเดียวกันครับผมเราควรช่วยกันนะเป็นมือเลยนะครับ
แล้วไรอันอยากจะบอกอะไรกับหลายๆคนที่แบบเป็นวัยเดียวแล้วก็ชื่นชอบในฮิปฮอปเหมือนกันเขาควรสำคัญไหมไรที่ว่าสำคัญไหมที่เขาควรจะแบบว่าเรียนรู้แล้วก็เข้าใจว่ามันมีอิชชูนี้จริงๆแล้วก็โดยเฉพาะในฐานะแฟนเพลงฮิปฮอปด้วย
เขาควรเข้าใจนะครับเพราะว่าอย่างแรกเลยเราเอา culture เขามาใช้เราจะใช้ culture เขาได้ไม่เต็ม 100% ถ้าเราไม่รู้เรื่องราวประวัติศาสตร์ของเขาเลยเหมือนที่คุณเอาหลักสูตรมาถ้าคุณไปเอาแค่แบบหน้าหนังสือที่คุณอาจารย์ส่งคุณมาแต่ว่าคุณไม่ได้ไปเอานั่งศึกษาหมดคุณไม่มีทางรู้ความจริงครับอยากให้คุณไปศึกษาเขาเพราะว่าการเริ่มของจริงเขามันเริ่มมาจากอะไรบางทีเขาไม่ได้เริ่มเพราะกูอยากเท่แต่งงานไม่ใช่ครับเขาอาจจะเริ่มมาจากการที่เขาอยากเล่าเรื่องในจุดที่เขาเล่าไม่ได้ในสังคมอาจจะอยากเล่าเรื่องในสิ่งที่เขาไม่สามารถเล่าให้รัฐบาลฟังได้เขาเลยต้องมาเล่าผ่านเพลงอยากให้ทุกคนไปศึกษาประวัติฮิปฮอปมากกว่านี้ครับคุณจะเข้าใจใน culture
ขอบคุณมาก
No justice no peace
ใช่แล้วนะคะวันนี้ก็ต้องขอบคุณทุกคนนะคะแล้วก็หวังว่า CUTZRADIO จะเป็นอีกหนึ่งแพลตฟอร์มที่ช่วยเปล่งเสียงนะคะเรียกร้องความยุติธรรมแล้วก็ให้ทุกคนเข้าใจอิชชูที่กำลังเกิดขึ้นนะคะแล้วก็อาจจะช่วยเท่าที่ตัวเองช่วยได้นะคะอย่างไรวันนี้ก็ขอบคุณทุกคนที่ติดตามมากค่ะแล้วก็ขอบคุณทุกคนนะคะ Thank you everyone
Thank you.
That's cool. Yeah, it was awesome.